As part of Joe's generation,
I'm all for
part of Joe's generation. Let me respond.
Before we move on
the issue, if I may say, is not generational.
Please.
The
Senator
issue
Sanders,
is not generational. The issue is who.
Last night was a disaster for the Democratic Party. My only hope is people were not watching.
Unfortunately for Joe Scarborough, people were not only watching that debate last night, but they were cringing at the extreme pandering to the far left that they were performing, and guaranteeing, as you're going to see here, their sure defeat in 2020. See, here's the deal. Joe Scarborough absolutely hates Trump. He wants nothing more than to see Trump's defeat in 2020. But Scarborough is also rational enough to see that the debate performance from the Democrats last night are definitely going to guarantee their defeat in 2020. So let's watch more of Scarborough's analysis of the debate performance. Oh, and keep your eye on Mika sitting next to him, because the looks on her face of irritation, it definitely looks like she's doing an impression of Saturday Night Live, doing an impression of her.
Well, let's talk about the goal, which every Democrat believes, which is we have to beat Donald Trump, right? So they're lined up in trench warfare, ready to get out of the trenches and charge and fight Donald Trump. Instead, they all turn their guns on each other and shoot each other. And everybody's yelling at each other all night. Everybody. Like if you were watching, if you're an American and this is your introduction to these candidates and the Democratic Party, and all you see are 12 people yelling at each other, trying to interrupt each other, insulting each other, you're like, you know what? I thought Donald Trump was a clown show. I'm changing the channel.
As part of Joe's generation,
I'm all for
part of Joe's generation. Let me respond.
Before we move on
the issue, if I may say, is not generational.
Please.
The
Senator
issue
Sanders,
is
and I'll
not
let you.
generational. The issue is who.
Here's the second thing. Won't be popular among the base. But if you want to beat Donald Trump, you may want to listen. It is a position of every Democrat on that stage that illegal immigrants, if they cross the border illegally, should get health care for life.
Right.
It is then the position of every Democrat on that stage that if they cross the border illegally, it's not even illegal anymore. Now, that may make Democrats feel really good about themselves, right? But that loses Wisconsin, that loses Pennsylvania, that loses Florida, that loses North Carolina. It may lose Virginia.
And don't forget, Colorado. Colorado will probably be lost to the Democrats because of their insane policy favoring open borders. Because that's what it is. When you don't criminalize illegals coming across the border, that means open borders. So keep your eye also on Mika. Just a reminder, I just love watching her, that irritated look on her face as Joe Scarborough delivers the unpleasant and unwanted truth about the Democrat debate performance last night. Oh, and also the audience had a very similar look that were sitting behind Joe and Mika.
I'm going to say also, the front runner, Joe Biden, man, he was off his game. I must say, won't make friends here. It was one of the more disturbing debate performances I have seen since Ronald Reagan's first debate in 1984. It was one of those moments where you're going, my God, is he going to complete his sentence? There were times he said he was going to give us 3 points. He gave us 1.5, and then did something that Joe Biden has never done. Gave back his time.
Yeah.
My time's up. Yeah. No, Joe Biden doesn't do that. Joe Biden runs through stop signs.
I agree that everybody, once they, in fact, they anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
Bernie Sanders was yelling all night. Bernie Sanders didn't prepare for the debate. It showed because he basically gave the same debate performances this year that he gave 4 years ago. It may have worked when it was Bernie Sanders against Hillary Clinton. It did not work last night.
We have a new vision for America. And at a time when we have 3 people in this country owning more wealth than the bottom half of America, while 500,000 people are sleeping out on the streets today, we think it is time for change, real change.
I will say the one thing about Kamala Harris, everybody's talking about what an extraordinary moment that was about busing. She's on the show today, so we can discuss this and give her a little bit of time to come here and figure out a way to whack me for saying this.
No.
But is there really a Democrat today in 2020 that wants to say, I support busing? Is there really a Democrat today that wants to say, even in 74, I would have supported busing when the overwhelming majority of Americans oppose busing? And by the way, if you're talking about segregation and integration, I guarantee you, schools in Miami today are just as segregated by neighborhood as they were back in the 1970s in parts of San Francisco. It was unpopular then. It's unpopular now. So is this the position of the Democratic Party in 2020, that we are going to get 7-year-old children, we're going to drive them an hour, take somebody from San Francisco and make them go across to Oakland for school, a second grader?
You also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
I want Donald Trump to lose. My hope is that only Trump was watching last night from Osaka in between snuggling up to Vladimir Putin.
Sorry, Joe, but after that debate performance last night by the Democrats, more than ever, it looks like Trump 2020 election victory. Woohoo! MAGA!
As part of Joe's generation, I'm all for part of Joe's generation. Let me respond.
Before we move on,
the issue, if I may say, is not generational.
Please.
The issue is not generational. The issue is who.